Hello, Mayor and Alderman. My name is Laura Davidson. I live at 1811 Mars Street, and I have a friend named Jason Cole who is sick today, but he had some suggestions, and he asked that I read an email from him. Dear Mayor and Alderman, unfortunately, I am unable to join you tonight due to illness, but regardless, I still wanted to convey my thoughts and suggestions to you. Number one, I would like to suggest that this board move to allow that all recorded board meetings for the city be uploaded to the city's YouTube account. This will allow for an online archive of the meetings that is both public and easily accessible. Number two, that the city create a semi-annual progress report for the citizens of the Laverne as to the projects and achievements that the city is undertaking. I know one of the big capital projects is road construction and repairs. As an example, this could be one of the topics of the report, among other things. Number three, lastly, that the city find sponsors to hold multiple debates in the upcoming alderman elections, and if the city cannot find sponsors, that the city sponsors debates itself. This will allow for the citizens to actually see candidates who are running for office a chance to hear what they have to say in an open environment. Too many times, residents don't have the opportunity to meet all of the candidates and hear why they would make the best person for the role they are running for. I hope you all have a wonderful 2012 and that you help build Laverne up for the future. Sincerely, Jason Cole.
It is now 7 o'clock. We will begin the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for January 3rd, 2012. We do have a quorum. Alderman Green will not be with us tonight. She is out of town. Prayer will be by myself, and the pledge will be by Vice Mayor Farmer. Please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and the many blessings you've bestowed upon us. Thank you for the recent holiday season and for the joy that we brought to a lot of people and for the birth of your Son who died on the cross for all of us. Thank you for the men and women who not only serve our country, but for the men and women who serve this city every day. Please be with each and every one of them. Bless them, take care of them, and keep them in your close watch. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the December 6, 2011 regular meeting.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will now go to the department report. We will begin with Fire Department.
Mayor, the month of December 2011, there were a total of 83 calls, consisted of 6 structure fires, 22 fire alarms, 3 vehicle fires, 1 grass fire, 4 hazardous materials calls, 14 motor vehicle accidents, 16 medical calls, 10 emergency miscellaneous calls, and 7 non-emergency miscellaneous calls. Average response time for the month of December 2011 was 3.1 minutes, and the total water consumption for the month of December 2011 was 3,200 gallons. For our end-of-year report, we'll do a little comparison here for the for the year 2010. We had a total of 61 structure fires. In 2011, 36. 189 fire alarms in 2010, 176 in 2011. Mutual aid calls, 0 both years. Vehicle fires, 22 in 2010, 23 in 2011. 26 grass fires in 2010, 22 grass fires in 2011. 217 motor vehicle accidents in 2010, 181 in 11. 85 medical calls in 10, 136 in 11. 36 hazmat calls in 2010, 30 in 2011. 122 miscellaneous emergency calls in 2010, 166 in 2011. 64 non-emergency miscellaneous calls in 2010, and 56 in 2011. Total costs for 2010 was 822. Total costs for 2011 were 826. Total water consumption for 2011 was 72,035 gallons versus 18,800 gallons in 2010. The average response time for 2011 was 2.9 minutes and 2.8 minutes in 2010. Any questions?
Any questions? Very good. And I think that this is showing, in my opinion, the importance of this first responder.
Correct. And there will be a much bigger, we've got in our budget for this year to purchase the 5 AEDs, which will get our contract agreement signed with EMS, which will put us forward a lot more calls as well, probably. So
I really like seeing that first responder.
yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Police Department?
Good evening, Mayor and Alderman. If you'll look in front of you, there's a package that contains some information. We're working on the reporting for the agency. We're still dealing with issues with the CAD and records management system. The year-end report is not ready yet. We're still having to go through and try to sanitize it as much as we can and pull together some numbers. But if you look on that second page, it gives you a breakdown of the December 2010 versus 11. Total calls were actually down 18.7% for the month, which was kind of nice. Our traffic crashes were down 11.9%. Alarms increased only by 1. But we still had 146. Our domestics were actually down 42 last year compared to 36 this year, which is a 14.3% decrease. Burglaries were up by 5. Thefts were down by 25%, from 56 to 42. Total arrest increased 21.7% from 129 to 157, and total citations increased by 11.8% to 916. If you look on the next page, it gives you a comparison of the 24-hour period, the number of calls per hour, and then I broke them down into segments of hours too. Every 4 hours, and you can see that the highest number of our calls generally for the month of December were between noon and midnight. The greatest number were between 4 p.m. and 7:59 p.m. That was 502. If you look at the calls by day of week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday are our highest, and then after that, Sunday. The second shift continues to be the top with 972 calls in December compared to 578 for first and 597 for third. Once we can get in and get a little more, once we have the capability where we can get in and dig much deeper and drill down on the data even more than what we can do here, we'll be able to use it a lot more for data-driven, proactive enforcement rather than reactive as we have to do now. Our zones are there. Zone 1, for example, is over the other side of the interstate and then coming down around Mason Road, everything this side of Mason. Zone 2 is everything east of Mason or southeast of Mason to Murfreesboro Road and back to the city limits. Zone 3 is that right? That's not right. That's Zone 3. Zone 2 is this side of Tom Haley, right? For the most part. Dick Buchanan, okay. And then Zone 4 is the east side of it. We don't have a map that we can show you. Everything's kind of hand-colored, but in the future you'll have a map, hopefully, if we can enhance and improve that CAD. The one thing I can tell you is that some of the numbers in comparing the 2 years together is we had 26,656 incidents in 2011. That's after we take 32 of them off that CAD didn't change over to 2012 until later, because it kept issuing instant numbers of 2011. So 32 of those were taken off, and that left us with 26,656. We had a very good month this month. It was probably one of the most rewarding months that I've ever had overall. The Laverne Fire Department, Box 100, FOP, and the Laverne Police Department, amongst a lot of citizens, amongst a lot of other city employees who stepped up and out and helped, provided food for families and also Christmas for children. And we'll have a report for you next month once everything is finalized, and hopefully we'll have a list of all of the individuals, the businesses, et cetera, that contributed that we're aware of, because many, many businesses and industries and churches and Laverne High School softball and Laverne High School baseball parents and kids helped. Those two helped with 25 families that we kind of wound up getting a little short on. And they stepped up to the plate, and overnight they just stepped up and stepped out. But I've got to tell you, as far as Laverne Police Department is concerned, I got to bring up one person's name, and that's Lieutenant Cindy Murphy. Cindy, would you stand up? Cindy has always been involved. She took, one of the things I think you need to know is, as you all know, many times some of our senior employees, and that's here longevity, that's not age necessarily, when I say senior, never take all their leave that they accrue. They just don't. They work, and a lot of it gets turned back over. But Cindy was taking days, trying to burn what she could. But every day that she took and burned before Christmas, she worked. She'd take annual leave, but she'd be in uniform and here working and out over at the boxing building and helping put that stuff together. So officially, I'll tell Cindy thank you tonight, Lieutenant Murphy, but we'll have more folks that we'll talk to you about. Citizens stepped up to the plate. It was absolutely awesome seeing people carrying 2 and 3 bags of toys and clothes and food, and the library actually got 700 something odd items in the food for fines, and that was better than another library that I heard over the holidays that had only gotten 300 and something. So it's absolutely awesome the way the Laverne community stepped up and worked together and took care of those less fortunate than us. On behalf of the police department, thank you for your all support. It's something that we take with us that we'll never forget, and it's very similar to a quote by the actor Robert Pine, who's a former Sergeant Joe Gutierrez on the TV series Chips. Mr. Pine's very active in philanthropy all across California and many areas of the country too. But his quote is, "What we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others in the world remains and is immortal." And that's so true. by passing it on. Any questions?
I'd like to thank Cindy as well, and I applaud you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Chief. There, we'll tell on, I saw there's a lot of faces in here that spent a lot of time down at that boxing building. So it was wonderful. Thank all of you very much. Rescue?
Mayor and Alderman, Happy New Year. For the month of December, we had 3 medical calls, 13 vehicle accidents, 3 traffic assists, 16 other calls, 4 business meetings, 2 training sessions, 7 public relation issues. For the quarter, I'll just let you look over that. And then at the end of the year report, we had 25 medical calls, 235 vehicle accidents, 2 water-related, 3 fire assist, 3 search, 8 traffic assist, 737 other calls, 31 business meetings, 36 training, 56 total public relations, 25 other, and about 60 fundraiser, maintenance issues, things like that. Total miles for the year was 50,547. Total man hours volunteered was 20,783 hours. Any questions?
Now, I believe during the holidays, the rescue also worked along with your church
Yes.
that
Yes, we did.
also delivered a lot of food baskets
During
as
the
well.
food for Christmas, yes.
So, thank you for
Exactly.
that as well.
And I do have a graph that shows accidents from 2004 to 2011. I'll leave those in your mailbox.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
When is your next ham raffle?
It will be the 14th of January.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
January 14th.
I don't know how many pounds we cooked. It was probably about 35, 40 pounds of ham. I'd love to know how many eggs.
Okay. Codes, can we,
Mayor and Alderman, I'm here to speak on behalf of Kyle Brown, who had to drive to Columbia tonight to call in a letter of credit. For the month of December, the Codes Department issued 2 single-family dwelling permits, 1 commercial permit, 3 additions, 5 signs, 5 other permits, and 16 total. There were 5 complaints called in for tall grass, 3 for junk cars in yards, 17 for trash in yards, for a total of, and 20 others. Impact fees for the month, there were about 2,000 for roads, 622 for parks, 224 for police. Monthly revenue with impact fees was $64.54.14. For the year total, we issued 25 single-family dwelling permits, 41 commercial, 32 additions, 48 signs, 9 for grading, 17 for garages and sheds, 53 other, 2 for mobile homes. There were 1,025 tall grass complaints, 117 junk cars and yards, 238 trash and yards, and 310 other complaints. We had 113,000 impact fees for roads, 8,000 for parks, 15,000 for police, and about 256,000 monthly revenue with impact fees. Total issued permits for the year were 227. Any questions?
questions?
All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Parks and Recreation.
We don't share the same mic height, so I'll. Good evening, Mayor Alderman. You got the report in front of you. As you can see, our buildings are up for the month. Pavilions are down, as is the vehicular traffic in the park, as expected this time of year. Senior activities, they had a busy month of December, as you're well aware, with their New Year's and their Christmas whatnot. We do have the holidays behind us. We're taking down decorations this week and doing a little maintenance before we put them up for the storage period. The next workshop for Parks and Recreation is January the 23rd at 6 followed by a Greenway Committee meeting at 7. Also, this month, I'm sending Mike Winters and David McGowan to the Certified Playground Safety Inspection course in Franklin so that we can ensure that our playgrounds at Macon and veterans are safe for kids to be playing on. Also going to be sending Aaron Simmons and Paul Fralix to the Commercial Pesticide Certification course so that we can do the application of pesticides in the spring when that rolls around. This month, too, with January and February, we'll start looking at our Safe Routes to School project, Cheney and Fergus Road sidewalk projects. Those will all, we'll enter into the planning phase now, so when school lets out, we will start those projects to hopes of being done before school gets back in the fall. Did want to add, too, that at the senior center, but not necessarily for just seniors, the AARP will be offering the tax assistance program starting February the 1st and goes through April the 11th. Again, that's February 1st through April 11th. You can call the senior center, 793-3048, to schedule the appointment. And they'll begin at 9 in the morning and last until 2 o'clock. And again, that program is for everybody, but it's, but the senior community is the one that we're trying to service with that. If there's no other questions?
Any questions?
I don't have no question, but the New Year's Eve party y'all had for the seniors was a blast. I attended that, and they really got into it.
They did. They enjoyed it. And for those of you that weren't aware, we fashioned a little dance floor, maybe 12-foot by 12-foot dance floor out of laminate flooring that we had up there, and they loved it. So it was really a lot of fun for all of them. So very good. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Finance?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Alderman. Tonight's financial report represents year-to-date through the November 30th, 2011, which is 5 months into our fiscal year. For the general fund, revenues, actually expenses have exceeded revenues by approximately $1.6 million. For our local sales tax, we've collected approximately $1.5 million year-to-date. That's $113,000 better than budget and $177,000 better than prior year. For State Street Aid, revenues have exceeded expenses by approximately $178,000. In our Stormwater Fund, revenues have exceeded expenses by approximately $122,000. And in our Water Sewer Fund, revenues have exceeded expenses by approximately $865,000. On the second page represents our balances and our cash balances in our bank accounts as of the end of November. For the General Fund, we had approximately $1 million. For the State Street Aid Fund, we have approximately $1.3 million. In our Senior Citizens Fund, there's approximately $60,000. In the Drug Fund, there was approximately $17,000. In our Library Fund, approximately $183,000. In our Grant Fund, there's approximately $53,000. In our Stormwater Fund, we have approximately $2 million. In our 311 capital projects, highways and streets, there's approximately 3.7, which 3.2 of that is reserved for Walden Road. In our capital projects fund, Parks and Rec, there's approximately $15,000. In our police impact fund, there's approximately $90,000. In the water sewer fund, there's approximately $6.2 million, with approximately $3 million of that going to Walden Road. And in our 511 employee benefits fund, there's approximately $223,000. On the final page is a comparison to prior year. In the general fund, revenues have exceeded expenses by approximately $35,000. In a water sewer fund, revenues have exceeded expenses by approximately $1.466 million as compared to prior year. Any questions?
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Library.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Alderman. In December of 2011, the library checked out 6,190 items. We were visited by 6,273 patrons in the library with an average per day of 330. We issued 27 new juvenile and 90 new adult cards last month. We ran 31 programs in December with a total attendance of 744, and we had 2,177 people come in to use our computers. So December was a fabulous month for us at the library. As Chief mentioned Food for Fines brought in $744 worth of fines waived. That was 744 food items donated by our patrons. And what was fantastic about it also was that we had several people come in, donate food, who had no fines on their accounts, and asked us to apply it to the fines on somebody else's account. So they were helping out in two ways there. It was really fantastic to see. We also had the Magic of Santa on the 17th. We want to thank Santa for coming out and helping us again, as usual. Couldn't do it without him. And also want to thank Santa's helpers. We were closed last week. We had our carpet steam cleaned, so I want to thank David and Paul from Parks and Recreation for coming and sprucing us up a little bit. Looks a lot better. January is generally a quiet month for us, no huge events, but we do have our usual roster of fabulous programs, including our Yarn Spinners Bee. This month will be on Wednesday the 11th at 2:30. And for those of you who are curious about this one, we'll have a display in our rotating display case near the circ desk that you can come and check out and see what people are working on. We are looking forward to having the interior of the building painted this month. That should happen probably about mid-month. The library will be open while the painting is going on, but we're going to close sections off at a time to get those areas taken care of. Are there any questions for me?
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Water treatment?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman, Happy New Year. What we have is our month of November comparatively to November of 2010. Our volume of processed water is down. We're kind of thinking that's mainly that big repair that was done on Mason Road. It's hard to prove, but the numbers are starting to show it from year totals. So of course, with the water down, it kind of brings down the cost of the chemicals. So we're down at about $5,000 from last year, just on the cost of the process. Our maintenance for the month of November was at $1,815. A lot of our projects are still pending, trying to get some of our, I guess our corporate discounts applied to some of the bigger projects. So our maintenance budget balance for the remainder 2 months is at $42,362. Whatever's not used of that will be credited to next year, so it'll still be in the contract maintenance fund. Our quality calls for water are down 3 for the total month. Rainfall events, we had 8 events, about 6.3 inches. And the cross-connection program collected $1,880 in inspection fees. What we find also, the water is cooler in the lake now, so it's easier to treat. Since probably 3 years ago, we switched chemicals from the alum to the polyaluminum chloride. And it's easier to work with the cooler water, so we can use less chemicals. So that's one of our cost-saving measures we've been implementing over the past few years, versus the up and down with the alum that we were using. But, other than that, the other big projects, we have prepared our sanitary survey response in conjunction with the Public Works. We deliver that tomorrow for their purpose on behalf of the city. The bigger projects at the plant, we're getting a call from either Roger or Bill Griggs about once a week. They're still getting all the contractors in line for the major improvements coming up. Other than that, everything is going well.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Public Works?
Good evening, how are y'all? Work orders in sewer were up about 25% to last month. 110 or so one-call events is down by about 10 calls to last month. Sewer department overtime was about 75 hours in the month. Much of that in, grinder pump calls and holiday coverage. The water department saw about 30% more water calls in the month too. As water and sewer goes with the cold weather, a lot of times we just see more calls for residential breaks. Fortunately, in the water department, the overtime was much lower, 81 fewer hours in December versus November. Fortunately, most of the water work orders happen on first shift hours, but we will continue to better impact that number by taking that on-call 31 out starting very soon. We're poised to go to the 2-shift model in water in this month, like we did sewer 45 days ago or so. In the street department, we saw just 6 chipper calls and 83 chipper pickups. This is in comparison to 15 and 267 in November. This isn't us falling behind as much as it is just us gaining, progress. There's a lot less of that work to do. If you look down at the workhouse program, 167 hours in December. As a comparison, because the mowing and the chipper went away, we had 445 workhouse program man hours in November, so that's come way down by about 2/3. And I won't go over the detail there on streets, but you can see signs, coal bag mix, those kind of things. In fleet, we saw 24 vehicle repairs with just, 4 of them being major. That's up about 4 or 5 calls the last month. Again, we'll see that continue to ramp up as the weather gets colder through the winter. Projects there in fleet, we spent a lot of time and energy on repairing the spreader trucks to get them ready to spread salt, including parking brake rebuilds for both. The next sheet is a simple year-over-year comparison. You can see 09, 10, and 2011 work orders totaled by each of the 3 primary areas that are work order driven. The percent change to 2010, there, the 39.6% more calls in 2011 versus 2010 in sewer, and you can follow the column on down for water and streets. A percent change to 209 from 11 in sewer and water, or even larger numbers of increases. So the point I want to make there is that the crew, in terms of labor, a supervisor plus 7 laborers in each of the 3 areas, has not changed in the last 3 years. It's always been the budgeted head count. But as you can see over time, we've simply taken on more work in the form of call-ins and work orders. Okay. You won't have this sheet in front of you, but as you well know, I like to talk about Departmental Wins during these meetings. In sewer in December, we started the smoke testing. We found a major inflow of approximately 7,200 gallons per day on our first day up in Lake Forest. To give you some sense, that repair is going to take out 2.6 million gallons. That's like taking one day off the calendar in terms of sewer flow, and that was the first day we put the camera in the ground. The camera has inspected approximately 6 miles of sewer main at this point, over 30,000 feet. We found 4 plugged mains, and we jetted avoiding surcharge events and impact fees out of the state. We located 5 manholes that were buried, and we raised them, in some cases buried under mud and muck along a river stream, but in other cases completely paved over by poor development activities of the past. And we have a manhole inspection program that's now off and running, and we work the bugs out. But that's off and running and creating us opportunities for work and improvement. In streets, there was a lot of help around Christmas events. Our streets department helped out with the lunch set up at the Christmas dinner at the multipurpose building. We set out cones and picked them back up for the parade. And 2, we have set up and are now taking on Christmas trees at our Christmas tree drop-off site at Public Works. We're already accepting and chipping those. We started troubleshooting with Stansville Electric, the bid winner, at the I-24 lighting project. You guys approved that a meeting or 2 ago, so that work is ongoing. Our streets crew helped out with the sewer crew during smoke testing to get some cross-training going back and forth between the departments. We closed the bid on the street supervisor opening, and Fred and I, along with Kyle Brown, will be interviewing 3 candidates tomorrow, all internal. In water, we promoted Mr. Robert Brooks from sewer laborer to water supervisor. He has a massive amount of water experience under his belt, and he came through the end of November with the distribution license upon testing in early November. He immediately implemented a couple of programs. One of those has made an immediate impact. We're now inspecting water meter boxes as a program. He has found many, cleaned them of debris, and they've already helped us find and repair multiple leaks. And this goes to water loss that you hear about a lot from the water plant. I think the number's at 32% water loss system-wide. So each of these fixes takes that more towards world class, which is 5 to 10%. Water is also cross-training on sewer calls. So they're out there in the field and they're working it up. 2, we instituted a professional appearance policy, if you will, in December, and we have 100% compliance there. We have made some strides there. in terms of customer perception. One or two other things for Bruce. The Badger meter, I sent you guys some emails today on that. We're going to talk about that going forward, but I'll put that in the 5-year plan. And to the asphalt bid, we're within a day or two of awarding that bid to someone and getting work started, hopefully in February, on road repair.
That's wonderful.
Okay?
That's good.
Any questions?
Questions?
The Christmas tree drop on Walden Road, if people needs to call, what's the number over there?
793-9891.
And the Mason Road project, is this on schedule?
Best as I can tell, absolutely. Now, they put out a 45-day window, and if you read the signs, it said February 1st, which is actually more like 60 days. But best I can tell from where I'm sitting, and they have not had a meeting, their work has been down for a couple of weeks. They'll pick that back up this week, Thursday at 1 o'clock, the TDOT meeting. And I'll be glad to forward you guys a progress update. But as they left for their Christmas break, they told us they were on schedule. I've been out there personally, and I know that the water main has been laid up through the Bain extension to Mason through the woods. And the last piece to go was the easiest, downhill, down towards Tech Park. So, again, best I can tell from having talked to them about 10 days, 2 weeks ago, they're well on their way to meeting that 45-day deadline.
I've had a few calls. I think it's on the corner of Nelson and Cheney. There's a part of the pavement that's chipped off. That people's been taking a right there off of Nelson. Ricky, y'all can check on that.
I know the spot. This
Corner
is,
of Nelson and Cheney.
it's above and beyond the capability of our streets crew and the tooling that we have in place today. But it's one of the primary projects that will address that intersection once we get the asphalt bid awarded. So we're looking at 90 days of having somebody on the ground working on that site.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Human Resources?
Good evening, Mayor and Alderman. The number of jobs posted in last month were actually 5 total. One of those crossed over from this month to last month. We've had 4 recent internal promotions. We've had 1 employee resignation in December, 3 terminations, all of those on policies and procedures or things that put the city at risk, and another termination due to the employee's inability to return due to medical reason, personal medical reason, and it's unfortunate, but he was not able to return. We've year to date, we've had 65 postings, right under 1,100 applications, 12 internal promotions, 24 employee resignations, 25 employee terminations, 9 grievances, all successfully resolved, 2 charges, EEOC charges that were successfully resolved, and then we have 6 litigation matters. Most of those, 4 of those are from years past and 2 current. As far as covered lives, we had for the month of January 299, saw a recent decline in 160 on the employee side. Dependent claims for our families, 392, but that was a reduction in dollars compared to 2 months ago, about 85,000. Employee claims, 284. Pharmacy claims, about 384. Year to date, we've had about 1,000 pharmacy claims. Even though that number seems to be high, our pharmacy claims and our numbers, the way they measure drugs, top 30 drugs, the drugs that we take are good drugs that are not, that doesn't have long-lasting bad effects. Year to date, we've had about 1.5 million in claims, 1,552,000. We think that number is going to end up for the year somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1.6 million, 1.6 billion and 70. So we're still looking at a big increase or a big improvement in claims dollars versus last year. On average, about 14,000, nearly 15,000
a month on the low side if we had a horrible December. The numbers for December are not final, but we feel like they're going to be really good. Care here is off to a pretty good start. We've had 86 people to sign up, either themselves or family members, for the clinic. That number is more than doubled since I spoke to you a month ago. We've had 52 appointments. 50 of those have shown up. We've had 2 no-shows. No-shows are things that we'll talk about as we go forward that are critical, that when we make an appointment that we make it, that we make sure that we make it. But we're 0.4% on no-shows. Smyrna, they have a lot more employees, but they average about 5% on no-shows. So we're doing good there. And some numbers I won't call out, but that's my report.
Any questions?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we're down to presentations. Tonight, I'm going to be, once again, presenting the City of Laverne Certificate of Appreciation for, this is our Employee of the Month. And I think once I announce this name, everyone will agree. This person has the absolute patience of Job for every single one of us. He works tireless hours. He's here long after most of us are long gone. I'm going to tell a little story on him at Christmas. As everyone knows, we do have a little Christmas celebration for all the employees on that Friday before Christmas. Well, this person was concerned because they're the night shift in the police that often do not get to attend this Christmas dinner. So he took his own time, came in, fed, made the spread very, very nice for all the officers for the second and third shift, made sure they were taken care of. Then he comes back the next morning and makes sure it's all put away, cleaned, and everything. This is just one example of what Fred Gaston does for this city. And it's a day-to-day basis. It's not so often. It's every day. He always comes through the door, smiling, picking, carrying on, but when it's time to get serious, he's serious, and he's here for every single person that works for this city. So, Fred, if you'll come on up. City of Laverne Certificate of Appreciation is hereby granted to Fred Gaston for your dedication and hard work for the City of Laverne. The city hereby recognizes you as the Employee of the Month for January 2012 and thanks you for the excellent work you do for the City of Laverne. Given this day, 3rd day of January. Fred, thank you so much for everything you do. We very much appreciate it. Chief, your turn. You need to hold them while you...
This past Saturday night, even though it was New Year's Eve, I needed to work. We were a little short-handed, and Lieutenant Campbell and I talked about it, and I said, I'll come work PM shift. Be glad to, as an extra card, cover card. It was fun. The only problem I've got is I did wear my vest, but when I got up and got ready to come to work this morning, Vicki reminded me, since I wore it the other night, I could wear it all the time now. So if I look like I've gained weight, I haven't. It's actually my vest. Then I'm getting used to it again. It's been a long time since I wore it a lot. But there's a group of folks in the department that, when I first got here, every time I turned around, they were involved in something. And they were involved in going out and solving crimes and making arrests and getting that criminal element off the streets, at least for a short period of time, until the warrant commissioners would set a low bond and they'd get out before we could get back to town usually and get the paperwork done. But Tonight I've got a Chief's Unit citation that we started last month. And I'm going to ask Lieutenant Mike Campbell to come. And I'm going to ask Lieutenant Cindy Murphy to come with him because Cindy, up until, what, 2 months ago or so, was the second shift lieutenant. But what you see here is not all of the second shift. It's a part of them. We've got some that are on days off right now. But this is a group that works very hard. They get out there, they back each other up, they do their job, they're professionals, and it just never ceases to amaze me, some of the things that they do and some of the things they accomplish for the city of Laverne. But the Chief's Unit citation is presented to the LPD second shift, Lieutenant Mike Campbell, Lieutenant Cindy Murphy, Sergeant Chip Davis, who's off because he has a brand new baby girl, Corporal Buster Locklayer, who's on RDO today, regular day off, Officer Steve Krotz, Officer Scott Hudgens, Hudgens off too, Officer J.B. Kilman, James B., Officer Jillian Luzinski, Officer Lewis Powell, who now is on third shift, but he's only been over there 2 weeks, I guess. But Lewis was a part of this group. Officer Chris Reed, Officer Owen Ward, who's off, and Officer Travis Wilson, who's brand new and going to the academy as of Sunday. And if nothing happens, we'll swear in our new folks publicly, officially, in a public setting here at 2 p.m. Thursday, if that's okay. And we'll allow them to bring their families and join us too. But these are folks that make me proud and should make all of us proud. As members of the LPD second shift, your professional law enforcement work has solved many crimes and brought a large number of criminals to justice. The second shift is definitely an alpha tango. Folks, thank you. I appreciate you a bunch, more than you could ever know. Now, we've had a lot of computer glitches today, all day long, and that's just a plain old piece of paper. But each of you will get a copy as soon as we can get the printers to work and work correctly. Thanks to all of you. Appreciate you.
Thank all of you very much.
Thank you. JB, welcome aboard.
Thank y'all.
I also do the Award of Excellence for different things at different times, and there's a fellow that I talked to earlier, and this is a prime example of why he's getting an Award of Excellence. We had an incident back during football season. Some of us were over at the football game working it. We received a call of a road rage vehicle chasing another one with a man, his wife, and small child in the car. There were shots that were fired out a window. There was some evidence that was recovered, a shell casing on the side of the road, and we finally got the report back matching the shell casing with the weapon that was taken from the vehicle, about 3 ounces of crack. Again, that was second shift that got in the middle of that and chased. But there's somebody else that helps. There's a group of folks that help, really. And down the road, they'll be recognized too. But there's one in particular that worked on that case, and some others too. One of them in particular working some long, hard hours trying to recover property and interviews and confessions and prosecuting people who had gone in and brought open daylight and committed an aggravated burglary. The Detective John J.J. Eubank. Did you get your haircut special for this? I did. JJ is in our detective division, has been there a while, and is on SWAT and various other groups too. But over the past few months, you've been assigned to assist patrol officers with several cases where excellent investigative skills and hard work were required to solve the cases and bring guilty parties to justice. Your professional investigative assistance has led to the recovery of thousands of dollars worth of property, but more importantly, resulted in the arrest of several criminals who have been at least temporarily taken off the streets of Laverne. John, thank you, and I present you this Chief's Award of Excellence.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Hey, you know what? We started something, the non-sworn and then the sworn employee of the month, after I got here, and these two actually get their own parking places behind the police department. They get the chief's old parking place at the back door, and the other parking place was marked assistant chief, which we don't have. We haven't filled that. Keeping it vacant, and hopefully we can hire another police officer down the road. But this is a person that's been awful special to me since I got there. She works many long, hard hours. She puts up with me. She chases me. She tries to keep up with me and make sure I get to where I need to go and get the things done I need to get done. But she's also the go-to person about this, that, and the other. Anything you got to ask, you always go to Tony. Tony's been here for a year or two. And how many totally, Tony? Okay, well, come on. Tony Craddock is the non-sworn employee of the month. She helps everybody. She gets in the middle of everything that goes on there and helps everybody. I don't mean she knows it into everything. I mean she helps with everything. But Tony's kind of a special person, and she always gives other people recognition and other people credit for things, but she doesn't take any herself. But Tony, you're hereby selected as the non-sworn employee of the month for December 2011 as a result of your dedication, your willingness to assist any person or group at any time, your professionalism, and your integrity. Your dedication and attention to detail are traits every employee should strive to attain. Thank you for all you do for all of us. And you got a parking place. And I kept her tonight. She wasn't real sure. Tony's raised her kids. Now she's raising grandkids, and she has her hands full, along with her husband, Don. But I guess you're raising him too, right? But she didn't know it, so I kept her a little late tonight. And then our officer of the month. This young man, since I've gotten here, you don't hear a lot out of him. He's quiet. He doesn't have a whole lot to say. When you're talking one-on-one, he's very polite to people. He's very professional. He does his job, does a really good job, but he's always there somewhere in the middle of something. You just don't know it because he's not out there and wide open and loud, etc. He's just kind of quiet and goes about his business and does what he's supposed to do. But back on the 13th of December, the dispatchers were putting out a call. We had a citizen that I wish every citizen would do this, every neighbor would do this. Actually got involved. They observed out a window someone kick a door and go into a house in broad open daylight in the morning and go in to take something out, and they came out and they got in the vehicle. The citizen stayed on the phone with the dispatchers, continued giving information as they were putting it out, and cars were headed that direction. And this young officer, as soon as they gave the description, he asked for the description and the tag number again, and he said, "I'm on it." And he was right there on top of it and stopped it. And as a result, 3 criminals were taken into custody. The property that had been stolen was retrieved, and that was one of several we had in December where that occurred, where we either took people out of a house or getting them as they were coming or coming from a house. So Mike Hoffer, he thinks he's here working security tonight. I held him over from day shift, but Mike, as a result of your aggressive and alert response to a broadcast burglary in progress at 248 Mary Jo Martin Drive on December the 13th, 2011, that led to the arrest of 3 adults, the solving of an aggravated burglary, and the recovery of stolen property, you're selected as the Officer of the Month for December 2011. Congratulations, Mike. And you get your own parking place for a month.
Get parking.
For a month.
Thank you, Chief. Very good job by all, and we thank all of y'all very, very much. All right, we'll move right into the business. Old business, second reading, ordinance 2011-31, an ordinance to amend the general fund capital plan by removing the warning system. I need a motion to approve or to deny.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I'll second. We'll do a roll call. Alderman Broker?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Second reading, ordinance 2011-32, an ordinance to amend Title I of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the duties of the mayor and the duties of the city administrator.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Do we have any discussion? We'll do a roll call. Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
No.
Alderman Broker?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Our consent agenda items, we discussed these in great detail. Let's see, we did remove the sewer truck from that. So that is off of here because we're wanting to look at a newer vehicle. So I need a motion to approve or to deny the consent agenda items.
Motion to approve.
I have the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, we've got the Laverne Housing Authority. We're going to appoint board members. We're going into new business. This is the Laverne Housing Authority. There's a vacant term on this board, and we have two applicants. Virginia McMath, am I saying that correctly? And Deborah Balthrop. And let's see, these are appointed by the mayor. And it looks like both of these are very, very good applicants. And I am going to place Deborah Balthrop. All right. Now, we don't have to have a vote on that. That's appointed by me. Am I correct? Okay. Do the beer board. We have one term, Randall Henson. You did speak with Mr. Henson, and he does wish to remain on this board. So do I have a motion to approve Mr. Henson?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have the Historical Preservation Committee. Ms. Carrie Smith, unfortunately, can no longer serve at this time on the board. So we are going to have to replace Ms. Carrie. And we do have one applicant, and that is Kathy Tyson, which she would like to be put onto that board. And do I have a motion to approve Kathy?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thanks to everybody who's applied for these boards. We do have two positions, Mr. Fred Gaston and Ms. Montique Luster, on the library board, and both of those wish to remain on that board. Do I have a motion to approve Mr. Gaston and Ms. Luster?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We've got the LEPC. Reappointing each of these into the position. Okay. So we're leaving Mr. Skinner, Lloyd, no, Robert Brooks, okay. Robert Brooks, Phyllis Rogers, Victor Woods, and then we will have the vacant for the city administrator. So we will be voting on Greg Skinner, Robert Brooks, Phyllis Rogers, and Victor Woods. Motion to approve.
Motion made.
Motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Again, thanks to each and every one of y'all. All right. Number 8. We need a motion to approve or reject a lawsuit settlement offer.
Motion to deny, excuse me.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
okay. All right, we've had a motion to deny.
Second.
I have a second. This is to deny the lawsuit, which is a lawsuit, well, just briefly. This is a 2-year-old lawsuit. I think it was done back in 2008. It was a frivolous lawsuit. Once was against the city and the police department. Now it's been dropped from the police and the city, which they remain to the officers. It's just, we don't feel that we've met with our attorneys. There's no merit to this. So I do have a motion to deny the settlement. I have a second, and we're going to do a roll call.
Can we
Vice
discuss
Mayor?
this? Can we dis-
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we countersue this individual for wasting our time?
I wish.
I'm being serious. Is that an option or?
Not in this case.
Okay.
Okay.
It's worth a shot.
Well, that's a good question. Very good question. Any other discussion?
ma'am.
Okay. We'll take the roll call. Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
Aye.
Alderman Broker?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion to approve grinder pump repair and training center project.
Make a motion to approve it.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I have a second. Do I have any further discussion? I think this is a very, very good project. Very good project. No further discussion? I'll do a roll call. Alderman Broker?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Number 10 is Resolution 2012-01. This had to be put on here today. It has gone through Evan. It has gone through Bruce. This is a resolution to ratify the actions of the city engineer in calling the letter of credit to finish the improvements for the woods of Martin's Bend. We received a phone call around 2-ish from the bank stating they would not renew the letter of credit for this development. That's why Kyle Brown is not here tonight. He was sent to Columbia immediately to call in this bond or letter of credit. So that's why he's not here. That's why it had to be put on this, because this all happened within a couple of hours span prior to the city closing. So that's what this is. We're giving Kyle permission to have gone down there to call in the letter of credit. If not, we're going to be stuck just like we were at Water's Edge. So, does everybody understand what that is? Okay. So I need a motion to approve or to deny this resolution.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a second. Do I have any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call. Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
Aye.
Alderman Broker?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. All right, we're down to the mayor and alderman comments. Vice Mayor, we'll let you go first tonight.
Nothing tonight.
Okay, nothing tonight? Okay, Alderman Waldron?
Just keep the Campbell family in the prayers. And remember the Country Ham Breakfast, January the 12th. And I enjoyed the seniors' New Year's Eve party. It was good, and a good start to the new year. And wishing everybody a safe one. And watch out for the space and oil heaters this winter. And watch out for your pets in cold weather. Make sure your pets is in when it gets real cold. That's it. Thank you.
Alderman Broker?
Just want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. I wanted to say it when Dana was up here, but I want to thank the rescue squad for their Christmas dinner that they put on for everyone.
Wonderful.
But thank you, and basically that's it.
It was very good. Also, the ham breakfast is January the 14th. And that is right. He said 12th, and I wrote down 14th. So which one is it? It's the 14th. Okay, it's the 14th. I was wanting to make sure I didn't write down the right day, or wrong day. Okay, so it's January 14th, ham breakfast. Again, Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for everything that you do. Employees, thank you very much. Look forward to the next great year and everything, all of us working together. Thank you. This meeting adjourned.